Hi everyone, I'm Dr. DrOlenaBerezovska and I'm welcoming my new guest in my podcast from United States. And it's special guest because before I had like partner, Cassie Miller, and we had amazing podcast on women in manufacturing, and we were talking a lot about business women. So today I have her obsessed partner, co-founder, and uh, co-author of the book they wrote together. It's Shannon Karels. And I'm going to tell a little bit more about Shannon as much as I can. But again, the most important information you will hear in our podcast. Also, you can read about Shannon and have work in the information about the video. So you just scroll down the video and then you'll find all information, all links that I'm going to provide so that you can order the books or you can go to their website and read like about Cassie and Shannon more. Cassie and Shannon, they created amazing company and a program of coaching and training women in business to help them to be successful in business because they have background in business and manufacturing, and they wrote together a book which is called Steel Toes and Stilettos, a very interesting name. And you can order this book on Amazon. And in 2021, they got award in Manufacturing Women Fame Hall of Fame, and also they do, as I said, they do training as a coach. They created a web page of sisters.com, and you can find more information about the training. Very interesting training. It also includes psychology. It includes knowledge and a lot from the experience. And today, what are we going to talk? So we're going to talk about successful women in male-dominant industry. And I have to warn that we're not against males, industry males at all. We just like, women, female, who wants to be successful on the same level like any other man on this planet dealing in manufacturing industry, any industry, right, and any field of human being activity. And welcome, Shannon. I'm glad that you agreed to have a podcast with me. And if I forgot, Shannon from United States, I forgot probably to mention this. So welcome, Shannon.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to. So let's talk about first, like some tips you're gonna give us about being successful for a woman in male-dominant industry, as we said.
Yeah, and like you said, we have nothing against men whatsoever. In fact, we wouldn't be here without them and all of the male allies that supported me along the way. But it is important to recognize that there's times where you are in the minority, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that either. But there's some few different things that we should be aware of, and I don't mean just women. I mean men and everyone should be aware of how to deal with those different types of environments. And so what Kathy and I talk a lot about is around how developing relationships is so important to help you foster your career and be successful. How facing some of the realities that come up from being a minority, how you can deal with those, how you choose to deal with those, and then about how getting great business results is really why we're all here. And that's why we're working in these industries is to foster jobs where the next generation can still have the opportunity to work in industries like manufacturing and other STEM related fields.
Wonderful. And I know you do a lot of coaching and training. And can you describe a little bit more about this training? What actually it included in this training and how it's different from training, let's say, males or, men, if we compare about like general trainings, which now very popular but this is a specific one more for business women.
Yeah, so some of the training that we talk about is around, just like I said, you're trying to face some of the realities that you have. And I think it's, women tend to be, and I'm not saying this is a blanket statement across the board, but women tend to be a little bit more empathetic, and a little bit different in the way that they communicate. So a lot of what we talk about in our trainings is around the why we do what we do, and not necessarily just what we're going to do or how we're going to do it. We want to bring people along with us, and we want to teach people that you can be a leader and a great leader without having, lots of people reporting to you. And so we teach people how to do that and how to bring people along into an inclusive environment, that women are very great at fostering if they just have the skills to be able to do that.
Yeah, I found it's like not easy for us to choose the proper direction and accept failures and accept some negative sides of the business, because we know like it's not easy for a woman to be a successful businesswoman, especially now, because we have more women that would like to be in a business. At the same time, we still have a lot of men who doesn't want to give up their positions and still be on the top of many industries and rules this industry. So, and let's talk a little bit more about benefits of creating this inclusive work culture, because we were talking about this work culture, a little bit with Cassie, but I know you have more experience in this field of your work together. So what benefits we have, and why do we need to create this inclusive work culture?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to lead a successful organization and you are wanting to get great business results, I mean, the best thing that you can do is to bring everyone along with you. So teaching them and being very transparent in what you want to accomplish is the start of it. You need to be clear and transparent, and you cannot communicate enough to tell all of the team members what you're trying to do and why. And maybe we don't know how we're going to get to those results. Maybe we don't know how we're going to accomplish it all, but you want to have every single member on your team understand why you're doing what you're doing, give them the opportunity to participate instead of just, especially in a manufacturing industry, a lot of it is with your hands and you're making product, but we want to engage people to use their hearts and their minds as well. And that's how you get that inclusive culture, allowing people to participate in different ways. It's how you make businesses that flourish. And people need a reason to want to come to work every day. They need a purpose. And you as a leader and as a woman leader can give them that. And it allows people to want to follow you and want to help you achieve your goals because you are supporting all of them. And that's what being inclusive is all about. It's just bringing everybody together towards a common goal. And it doesn't matter where you live on the organization chart. Every voice matters, every person matters. And that's really how Kathy and I chose to run our businesses throughout the years. And we've gotten great results doing that.
Yeah, I can see your business is blooming and you have more projects, you have more ideas, and even your program is expanding, and which is wonderful because you're helping women to be successful, and this is matters what you're doing. But being a successful, like I know even from my experience, we're going through ups and downs, and then we actually have a lot of thoughts we shouldn't have. And then I know you put a lot of psychological part in your training and coaching, that how we can manage with all the thoughts, negative thoughts, and what is it important to be successful, how we can manage with our failures, or it's not even a failure, let's say, it's just like, that it's not your time at this moment, you probably have to change the direction or whatever. So what sorts are important? How we build this, like, perception of what we're doing in a good way?
Yeah, and there's a couple ways to look at it. So from an organizational standpoint, when you're a leader, you want to create a psychologically safe space. And what that means is you allow people to try and fail. It's the only way we learn, and you're never going to get better if you don't. And you're right, it's not necessarily a failure. But we have to be okay with the fact that everything isn't going to be perfect all the time. And whether it's a mistake you make, it's a mistake that other people make, being able to do that is what drives an organization forward. It's what lets you succeed. But you have to be able to allow people to do that and not be scared to be reprimanded or fired or anything like that. It's more around saying, what did you learn?
Mm-hmm.
How are we not going to do that again? And what are we going to do next time? How are we going to move this forward? And that feeling in itself, that psychological safety, does leaps and bounds to create these positive type of work cultures. Because then people will say, oh yeah, I mean, I messed up, but I didn't get in trouble, because we're learning together and we're learning how to make things better. And I think that that's where all of that psychology comes in. Now, I will fully admit that I don't know that we knew it wasn't called psychological safety. We were just doing it because we felt it was the right thing to do. And that's what made it such a great place to work.
I changed my perception of meaning of failure, or even perception of mistakes, because before I admitted, okay, we do mistakes, we fall, and suddenly I started understanding that how can we say this is a mistake if we were making decision without knowing possible outcomes or all circumstances, even without proper evaluation of the condition. It's like a baby making the first steps, right? So the baby thinks it's safe and then falls and then get ups and then, like, going ahead. So the baby is exploring the world around, even if the mother behind, even if, like, we could have mentors, let's say. But again, it's a new step. And even if you start, like, working still in life, it's always something new. It's ahead of you. So how can you be sure that if you fall, then it would be soft pillow, or it would be concrete, when you hit yourself? And after that, I was thinking I shouldn't blame myself for mistakes, or I shouldn't blame myself that something didn't happen what I expected, and then I have to look for these roots, reasons why it's happened in different way. And I said, I'm a baby. I'm still working. Whenever I do a project, yes, I use my knowledge, experience, but again, it's a future I don't know. It's a reaction of people I don't know. Yes, I expect this, but suddenly it goes in different way. And when I start looking at every step in my life, it's like a step of a baby that goes, a child that goes in a future without even knowing if there is support, is the mother behind it, whatever. But I mean, then why should I blame myself if something goes wrong? I mean, yeah, we
Yep.
learn some mistakes. We learn, I would say, experience, and we have negative and positive experience, and probably negative experience gives us even more knowledge, because we know it doesn't work this way, and we shouldn't do this way. We should change our, like, actions or whatever we have to do differently, even thoughts. And I like that you mentioned about that yes, we not always have to think that whatever we do, it's something bad and it's our mistake, or like something negative. And by the way, I like expression psychological safety. We hardly talk about psychological safety, especially in a business environment, in manufacturing. And can you tell a little bit more about psychological safety from your point of view? What do you think about this, like
Yeah, and
in manufacturing?
I'll be honest, I've worked in both environments where I didn't feel psychologically safe. And what that did to me and what it does to people is you're always in that fight or flight mode where you don't know, you don't feel safe to make a mistake, you don't feel safe to be yourself, you don't feel safe to speak up. And it's an awful place to be. It's a terrible feeling. I remember being just scared I would be yelled at all the time or reprimanded or fired when I needed a job. And it's not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not healthy to feel that way, and it's not healthy to make others feel that way. And so, yes, there are consequences for actions. There is an expectation of performance. All of those things exist in business. You have to get results. We don't pay people to show up for work and, you know,
Yeah,
not put effort in.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there's a difference between fear and feeling safe. And that was one of the biggest things that I've wanted people to do is feel that they can talk to me, feel that they are comfortable being themselves. Because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it over and over again in businesses. When people are comfortable and feel safe with their thoughts, with who they are, it drives excellent business results, and it drives these cultures where people want to come and work there. People want to work at that in those places. And so it has this huge circle of effect of positivity that we can bring into workplaces that unfortunately I think is still lacking in a lot of areas.
I think that sometimes we look at ourselves as a victim of somebody's abuse. That's why we loosen the psychological safety, and uh, we create the image of victim and agree with this image, and then we start falling apart because we cannot say no, we cannot resist, we continue to go in the same direction and doing the same things and creating, like, even making more solid this image of victim. And I found that many women, they afraid just to stop being a victim, stop playing this game that I'm a victim of a dominant person, a dominant man, a dominant somebody, and like boss. And probably when it comes from us. We should say stop. We should say no. We should say, if we want to have psychological safety for us, then we should understand that we shouldn't work in this environment, or we have to leave this environment. We have to change our life. We have to do something different, which you did, because I know Cassie had a huge experience working on high top level positions
Yeah.
in like industries that dominates by men. It doesn't mean that, again, we discussing these topics not just to diminish the role of men, but just we want to be successful women in business as well, in manufacturing, not just like mothers or members of family or some, yes. And our podcast is coming is coming to the end. We can talk a lot, but the time is flying. And I would like you, Shannon, to tell a little bit, kind of like more, like summarize some kind of like 1 to 3 points of our conversation, or our, not just conversation, but your thoughts as well, that you would like to give to people, and especially women.
Yeah, so I think there's a few things. So the first one, and I mentioned this in the beginning, but around relationships. So you have relationships with every point in the organization, top, down, left, right. You always have relationships, and I think it's incredibly important to recognize the fact that you can't do it alone, and you shouldn't do it alone. And so the more that you build these relationships and use them as touch points to get to know people for who they are, because ultimately business is nothing without people. And so the more you can build those relationships, the more successful you will be as a woman, whether you're in a male dominated industry or not. It's important, really important, and it's time well spent to develop those relationships. the second piece is around the realities that we face. And sometimes you will be the only woman in the room. And sometimes people will make uncomfortable comments about the fact that maybe you are the only woman there. But I think it's really important to choose how you want to react to that. I know Kathy and I personally chose not to focus on it because we felt that we earned our seat at the table. And so that we didn't allow one piece of our identity and which is our gender, to minimize who we are as a person collectively. I bring a whole lot to the table other than the fact that, I'm a woman. So I think it's important to recognize how you want to react to those things and to understand that they can exist. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it okay, but you have the choice how you want to deal with that. And then the third thing is the best way to be successful is to get results.
Yeah.
And you can do that by developing those relationships and standing up for yourself and being confident in who you are. Because this is one thing that Kathy and I tell everybody, there's only one of you in the entire world, and the world needs your unique gifts and talents, and share them, and don't be afraid to share them and be who you are. And if you're not in the environment that supports that, after you've tried to speak up and do all these other things, sometimes you just have to leave. And that's a tough decision to make, but you have to have the courage to honor your values and who you are. And that's, in a nutshell, and there's a lot more to it than that, but that's really, I think what helped Kathy and I to be in this position that we're in and to be successful.
Wonderful words. Thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful advices. So I hope everyone who wants to change their life, women, or doesn't matter. I mean, if you want to change the life, listen to this advices, because it's related to everyone. So if you want to change your life, you change your life. You start doing what you want to do. And sometimes it's tough decisions. Sometimes you're not ready to make this decision. But the more you think about this, the more you create a plan in your head, then more chances you have to become who you want to be, even in tough business. Thank you, Shannon, for this interesting conversation. And say hello to Cassie. Again, everyone who would like to know more about Shannon and Cassie and their work together and the book, please scroll down to the information about the video, and you will see some links to the web pages. And don't forget to like the podcast and subscribe to my video channel. So Shannon, I really appreciate that you came to the podcast, and thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely talking with you.